Good morning, everyone. As we talked about, we're now moving through to the recorded part of the phase. Welcome to today's training on Master the Menu. My name is Steve Giardini, and I'm a business process manager for Aramark on the Global Operational Excellence team. Joining me today is Stacy Gelman from the Culinary Development team. And we're going to talk to you guys today about the Choice Residential Menu and Prima Web. Today, we want to focus your attention on Phase 2 of the Master the Menu program. The goals for today's session are reviewing the Master the Menu program and helping you understand the process, providing you with information around specific service station changes, give you a preview of the changes to the menu building process that you'll see in Prima Web, and we will do a live system demo, discuss the implementation process, the resources you can access, and the steps you need to take to ensure that you're successful with this. We also allotted, as I said, a generous amount of time for question and answers to make sure that you guys feel prepared as we move forward. Before we dive into the specifics of the second phase of Master the Menu, let's take a moment to go over some detail we shared in the recorded webinar concerning how we arrived at this point as a company and a center of excellence. The first phase of the Master the Menu focused on developing and testing ideas that would improve our food management process. Central to Phase 1 was aligning our standards, our operating procedures, and our basic food handling approach in a way that would allow us to create a framework that focused on building consumer-driven menus, and that we could utilize that framework to shrink the number of recipes we used across the company and build standardized recipes that worked for everyone, and reduce the complexity of the business, especially in areas such as the number of items we bought and therefore the number of SKUs we had to manage. Phase 1 was a success, but to achieve real savings and bring the work of Phase 1 to complete fruition, we need to roll out Phase 2, which focuses on aligning our technology, aka Prima Web, to mirror the new processes and standards we built in Phase 1. Leverage the work done in Phase 1 and see its logical conclusion, and allow for menu constructs and consistency across the organization by changing the way that Prima Web works. However, as we mentioned in the introductory webinar, Phase 2 isn't just about aligning Prima Web to our new way of managing food. While we need to align our technology to our new operating procedures, the enhancements we will go over today in Prima Web will prove critical in supporting other organizational initiatives. In particular, Phase 2 of Master the Menu will ensure that both national menu labeling and our continued work around workforce productivity succeed. So keep that in mind as we go through the system later on and discuss what to expect. One key element of Phase 2 concerns your service stations, specifically promotions. This will now become a necessary task you must complete prior to the menu planning process. The menu planning job aid available on the Master the Menu page will walk you through this process. The first thing you must do is go into area configuration settings to create the production department promotions, then create the service station promotions and map it back to the new production department. This takes place in Prima Web. This station is used for theme meals, limited time offers, or taste promotions depending on your location needs. During the menu planning process, when you see the promotions template station, it must get mapped to the promotion service station in the system. Okay, so at this point, I think you're ready to go through the changes in Prima Web. I will be providing you with a live walkthrough of the new system layout momentarily. Before I do, I want to focus your attention on a few key changes that really enhance the operator experience. First, you will see the system now uses menu constructs or culinary templates. Unlike the older version of Prima Web, when you go to start a menu, you will now always start building a menu from a template. As you build the menu, you will see that certain template stations are now required. In order to finish planning the menu in the system, you must select these template stations. You will also see the recipe slots come in two forms, required or optional. Required slots are added to the menu. Optional slots can be deactivated. Lastly, certain recipes are listed as defaults. Any recipe in blue font can be swapped, and the system now presents you with a list to choose from. All right, let's go through the system to see some of these changes live. First, we'll need to create the promotion station in the service area. So as we move over and we go to area configuration settings in PrimaWeb and we go to create the service area, we'll be using, this is a training. Sorry guys, bear with me here as we. All right, thank you. So I'm building this location in a training location today. So that's why you'll see a little bit of extra things going on in here. We're going to be working in Wendell's Cafe in the service area SG residential menu. As you can see, we've created a number of stations, including the promotion station here within the service area. If we wanted to add a station, we would simply click Add Station here. We've already added a promotion station. I promise this will get better, guys. Thank you for your patience. So we're using, as I was mentioning, we're using Wendell's Cafe, which is a PrimaWeb training setup. And we're using the SG residential menu service area today. You can see that we've already created a number of stations that we typically find in a residential dining hall. We are going to add one more. I'm going to add a second promotion station so that you guys can see how to map it. We're going to call the station Promotions 2, and we're going to link it to the production department for promotions. So now you can see we have our stations, we've added promotions. The other thing that I want to talk to you guys about is meal periods. So with the menu construct in your service area, there are some different meal periods that we're going to ask you to add that you maybe not be used to. So for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, those operations will stay the same. For those of you guys on the construct will include brunch and limited dinner. So you can see that those are the two meal periods that we've selected for Saturday and Sunday, while turning normal breakfast, lunch, and dinner off. It's also a key step to ensuring that you're successful with this menu construct. We will start on step 4 from the menu planning process. I'm in PrimaWeb and I'm going to start a new menu. So from the menu home screen, I'm going to click on Plan Menu and create a new planned menu. You can see now I only have the option to create from a construct, from a template, and we're creating from the residential template. Those of you guys on this call today will be creating a template based off of the choice template. So you'll see, instead of residential, you will see higher ed choice menu as your template. It's important that you select the correct template when you go to plan your menu. I'm going to call this menu Test Session 1 with an effective date of January 2nd. As you guys know, from menu planning in PrimaWeb, all menus must start on a Monday. Remember, you can use the PrimaWeb user guide available via the Global Operational Excellence page to help you through any of these steps. Again, making sure you select the correct menu construct for your service area. So you can begin to see some of the stuff that we mentioned. You'll see your different meal periods here: breakfast, lunch, dinner, brunch, and limited dinner. Again, brunch and limited dinner only run Saturday and Sunday. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner will run Monday through Friday. As we talked about before, any of the blue stations are required. Yellow stations are optional. There's a handy legend up here in the top right-hand corner that can help you remember those things as you're moving through this process. As you go through, so what we want to do now is we want to map our stations. So our produce market in the AM gets served at the salad bar in my cafe, and you can see it automatically defaults to opening the recipes. Looking at the legend, any recipe that has a green shaded box, that item is required. Any recipe that doesn't is available to be swapped or turned off. To turn a recipe off, simply click in the white square box of the recipe, and you have the option to remove it from just that day and meal period or remove it throughout the entire menu. I'm not the biggest fan of cottage cheese, so I'm going to take it off of the menu on the breakfast menu on Thursday. You can see that the green triangle in the right-hand corner swapped to the bottom, and looking at our legend, we can tell that that recipe has been deselected from a culinary template. Again, you can go through and turn off any of these recipes. One thing you must do is you must map all of the required stations. So hot cereal gets served at the soup station. Comfort breakfast at the entree station. And again, these could be different in your cafe for purposes of this exercise, and we're just moving forward here. Omelets are made at exhibition. Grill breakfast is at the grill. And bakery, we will run through the dessert station. So you can see here that there are also a number of optional stations. We're going to run vegan breakfast also at the entree station. You can see there's different options there as well. And breakfast handhelds we're also going to run at the grill. Important to know, before you do all of the, you want to click Save Changes. You definitely do not want to click Finalize because we have not done all the meal periods. So we finished mapping for breakfast, and we're going to hit Save Changes. And now we're going to do the same for lunch. Again, the blue stations are required. Gotcha. So there's a grill daily feature and a grill core. Okay. So the grill station, you can select A or B. You do not need to have both. And it looks like I forgot to create a pizza station. This isn't a problem. We will circle back to this. We will circle back to this in a minute. Just going to go through and keep adding my stations here, making sure they're mapped over correctly. Theme events is definitely going to be one that you want to map to your promotion station. All right, so again, save changes.
that you're using, your stations are built. You want to go straight to that you're having those for the ones that you want to choose. Also, for the grill stations, it's required to run one of the grill stations. The execution options are as they have been in the past. You can run the core grill or the daily feature or the core and daily feature. But the way that it's set up in the construct is when you see A or B in front of stations, those are called substitutable stations. And although they are both blue, you can only choose one of them in the blue sections. So it's not really represented in the best way to get that point across. So if you're just running core grill or daily feature, you would select A or B, whichever one's appropriate, leave the other one blank. If you are selecting both stations, you're going to select A core grill from the blue section, leave the B in the blue alone, and go down. There's another grill daily feature in the yellow optional section, and that one is the one that you will choose. Otherwise, you're going to go through and it's going to give you an error. You won't be able to go into your plan menu.
Thanks, Kim. So I'm just going to map these last few stations over again, so we can talk about the green shaded boxes are required recipes. Again, to remove the recipe, you can simply click on that recipe. All right, so after you guys go through and map all your stations for all your meal periods, I jumped ahead and it's going to tell me that I did not map all of my meal periods. So brunch is done, and last but certainly not least, weekend dinner. So now we're finalizing the template. And as you can see, the system does a very good job of letting you know if you've missed a step. All right, so now as we go back to our plan menu tab, you see that we've moved out of the wizard phase and into the plan menu phase. So as we go to look at our menu on a weekly basis, we can see breakfast, again, runs Monday through Friday. You can see a couple of different things here, right? So any recipe box that has an X with a circle around it, you have the ability to remove that recipe from that day. any recipe box that has this symbol in the bottom right-hand corner, you can click that and it brings up a list of available recipes that you can swap out as you build your menus. Important thing to remember, if you click up here where it says show empty stations and items, I made a change, so it's going to ask me to save. And again, I recommend saving early and often. So now we have this box to show empty stations and items. So as we scroll through, you'll see opportunities in your menus where you can add another recipe from the construct. So for breakfast here, we have the ability to add any of these recipes. So we're going to add diced pork sausage patty to our omelet station on that day. Again, you can swap out recipes that have that symbol in the bottom right-hand corner. So you can see we could swap whole eggs for liquid eggs as part of our omelet station for breakfast. Moving through to lunch, the menu will look the same. Again, the symbols stay the same. You have the ability to make swaps or remove items from your menu as appropriate. You can see certain boxes don't have either symbol. Again, those are the recipes that are required on the construct, and you don't have the ability to change or to swap those. Again, ensure you have your show empty stations and items button clicked up top, and you'll have the ability to add any items to promotional stations that are part of the construct as well. You can see there's a number of recipes we can add to the exhibition station to match up with whatever we're serving as part of the construct that day. Moving through to brunch, you'll notice that we'll only be able to see Saturday and Sunday. Important to know that you do not want to add anything to any other day of the week during brunch or limited dinner. It'll generate an entirely unnecessary amount of paper for things that you guys aren't going to use. So make sure when you're working in brunch and limited dinner that you're only keeping recipes on Saturday and Sunday.
One way, so one of the things only selecting Saturday and Sunday. Have for brunch. You don't necessarily have to do limited dinner on Saturday, Sunday. It might be Friday and Saturday for your locations. But the advantage to using the limited dinner meal period is that you can select or not select different stations from your traditional dinner meal period. So if you have a school where maybe you close some of the stations on Friday and Saturday nights because you have lower customer counts, then you would want to set that up as a limited dinner meal period so you could close some of the station offerings. For example, you might not offer your exhibition station on the weekends. So setting it up as a separate meal period allows you to serve exhibition during the week in dinner and not serve it on the weekends.
We just had a request for him to repeat that because
So in the past, the brunch was only populated for Saturday and Sunday, but the way that MM2 works are it's really stations that are built into a module. So the stations are going to flow into whatever days that you had checked that you served brunch back in your area configuration settings. So it's important that you really only check brunch on Saturday and Sunday if those are the days that you typically serve it. A lot of locations in the past, I think, would check it 7 days so it was there if they needed it for a day before a holiday, knowing that it wouldn't be populated. That's not the case with MM2. So if you have a check mark on a day of a week that you serve brunch, you're going to have a full menu in there. So you would really only want to have breakfast and lunch or brunch selected on any given day, and you want to have dinner or limited dinner selected on a given day. I think they heard the rest.
Thanks, Kim. And Stacy. Again, so within the plan menu, you guys have the ability to swap and add menu items as necessary, as long as they're part of the construct. The good news is that you will only see recipes that are part of the construct, so you don't have to worry about going off strategy. One important thing to note, account location specific recipes, ALSRs, will be available to you at any station throughout your dining hall on Monday, November 28th. This will help ensure accurate planning and production management. This has been an ask from the field, and it'll certainly eliminate a lot of confusion that has been taking place, and certainly streamline the amount of paper and data that we're dealing with on a daily basis.
Can you explain to them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in previous versions of Master the Menu, we've had an ask from the field to be able to use, client-specific recipes or local account favorites that have been run for any number of years. These recipes don't always fall in the construct, so we created a group of them called account location specific recipes. Meaning that these recipes have gone through an approval process with line of business and sector OpEx teams to ensure that we're operating correctly, and these recipes are indeed a valuable part of our menu offerings at any given location. These recipes are then available in their current state. They are available at only one station in the cafe or the dining hall. We found that creates a lot of confusion. So the field has been asking us, and working with Prima Web, we've been able to identify the technological change that's going to take place again on Monday, November 28th, to really help everybody in the field out to have these location-specific recipes available at any station throughout your cafe, ensuring that if you have a really great deli sandwich that was approved by line of business OpEx, that your client really loves, that it's going to be available at the deli station and show up on the deli production sheets, and thus eliminating a lot of previous confusion in the field. Again, always looking for ways to streamline things for you guys, the operator. All right. So we've talked a lot about changes and kind of gone through the menu planning process in Prima Web. We're going to jump back into the slideshow now. Now we're going to hand it over to Stacy Gelman from the residential menu team, and she's going to discuss the the updates to the residential menu.
Thank you. Working together and incorporating feedback from our operating teams, the Spring 2017 menu has new recipes, updated standards, a new promotional strategy, and a variety of additional tools. Specific enhancements to the menu include a menu base for you to work with, what Steve just showed, offering you access to both the new residential menu and the Fresh Food Company menu constructs and recipes, therefore giving you a wide variety of choices and options to select. A continued focus on innovative and on-trend, simplified master recipes and key ingredient list, alignment to our health and wellness targets, an integration of the MTO pick lists and the recipe sorter, and new theme and holiday events. You can find additional information about each of these enhancements in the executional guidebooks. Now that you've seen the menu overview, it's time to discuss the implementation tools and resources. By now, you should be very familiar with the executional guidebook, as it has been a staple over the past several years for menu planning. With the introduction of Master the Menu Phase 2, Fresh Food Company, the executional guidebook has significantly changed from years past to reflect all of the new menu planning process in place. This guidebook is a support tool designed to guide all locations to successfully implement the menu. It includes standards and execution expectations for implementation of the menu. For specific execution option information, you will reference the new residential menu and the Fresh Food Company guidebooks. Because it's both menu constructs combined to provide all the options, therefore the name the choice menu, you're going to be able to access the resources from both the new residential menu and the Fresh Food Company menu. The guidebooks can be found on the Channel Growth website. As you know, the Master of the Menu has standardized key ingredient lists and recipes based on the residential menu. With this shift to Phase 2 of Master the Menu, there is still a continued focus, obviously, on adhering to the key ingredient list. And the key ingredient list obviously enables you to order the right ingredients for your recipes and is aligned with your Cisco OPCO to ensure ingredient availability. New for the spring menu planning is a menu construct and a station detail document. The menu is built into a menu construct consisting of required and optional stations and menu items, carefully selected based on consumer and field insights. This document outlines the stations, how they're broken out within the construct, and details the items and flexibility within each station. Within the menu, there are alternate recipe lists that are filtered to show you appropriate replacement items through the use of a drop-down menu. This is where the integration of the MTO pick lists and the recipe sorter really comes into play. Those items as individual documents for menu planning in the past are now incorporated, as I mentioned earlier, into these drop-down menus. Locations should use the Fresh Food Company construct and station detail and the new residential menu construct and station detail. They're not individual, they're combined into one construct. So you're going to look for the choice menu, implementation, construct, and station detail document. And that'll help you manage required and optional items within each station and plan for necessary area configure modifications, and it'll show you how to appropriately map stations from the new construct. More along the lines of the implementation tools and resources, there are updated build diagrams. As always, they provide a step-by-step visual and assist you in training your associates in the execution of portioning and assembling of specific menu items, and it helps to provide a consistent product each and every time. In addition, there are planograms that you can access from both the new residential menu and the Fresh Food Company menu. They have both been updated to reflect the new MM2 standards and are a great tool to use when planning your station. The next thing that's new here is really the combination of both promotion strategies from both menus. So what you'll see is here you have the option now to choose from taste promotions, the limited time offers, as well as the themed events. You are expected to execute the appropriate programs as outlined in the chart. Required materials and resources will be provided via Action Monday and posted to the Channel Growth webpage. Now I'm going to hand it back to Steve to talk about the implementation of the menu.
Thanks, Stacy. Just as with phase one, the success of phase two of Master the Menu depends on your support and willingness to adopt and use the enhanced system as it's designed. To support you in doing that, the toolkit for phase two will include an implementation checklist, additional and updated job aids and reference materials available on the Master the Menu page on aramark.net, and office hours supported by the GOE and the residential culinary team every Tuesday and Thursday to help answer any questions, solve any problems, and provide guidance around the initial setup and use as it's needed. The schedule is available on the Master the Menu webpage, and the office hours begin the week of November 21st. In order to complete the implementation of phase two effectively, we encourage you to review the implementation checklist available on the Master the Menu page to understand the process and remind you of the information we went over today. Review the tools available, including the job aids and the executional guidebook, and attend the office hours when you have questions or feel unsure about the changes and what you need to do. Please utilize this resource. You do not need to guess if you are unsure, as we can identify the right resources and materials to aid you in your menu planning. That concludes our planned portion of the webinar today. It looks like we can answer any questions for about the next 20 minutes or so. If you want to ask a question, you can submit it in the chat box, and there's a couple in there already, and we'll get through those in order. I want to thank all of you for your attendance and attention today. Again, we're here to support you, please, so don't hesitate to reach out during the implementation phase. I'm going to stop the recording now as we get to the questions.